what I want to do, I want to make sure we give the drummers some for opening up this. And call us to action. Remember, it was the drum that they eliminated from our contact because they knew what it was doing. That's why they call your ear an ear drum, because of the power that comes from hearing and then feeling the energy. We are now at a point now where you see in front of us all those wonderful energies of spirits that came together to bring us what we call the gathering of the masters. And I want you, as you receive them all fully in front of you, give them some love and all your appreciation while you see them sitting in front of you. Ashe. So I said before Bobby spoke, we were talking about what we were feeling and how we were feeling relative to the information that we received from all these wonderful geniuses of our people. And as we gathered as masters, and you too recognize your mastery because you showed up. So it was a gathering of all the masters and the mastery of you. They say where there is mastery, there is no mystery. And once we understand what it is to be a master, then you understand that according to my teachings when I was coming through the vortex, was a master is one who possesses 360 degrees of knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and understands that they are infinite. And this is what the whole idea of being a master is about. It is not being a massa, the pseudo-master who had you in chains. It's about understanding who you are in the equation of your mastery. A lot of energy and a lot of heaviness has been laying over this conference since the last speeches that we had, or lectures we had. And I also want to make sure I repeat this, is that we in the audience who come to hear and to share with our presenters have to learn more so how to listen and less reaction to what you think may be antagonist or maybe something that is negative, as we call it, which is really no negative. But the truth of it is that when we talk about the whole history of COINTELPRO, there's also a NOW-INTELPRO. If you are alert and aware, you remember that J. Edgar Hoover had a reign of how many years? 50 years. He laid out his program. This is why you don't even see the guy who's in charge. You don't hear about him. How often do you hear about who is the new FBI director? Y'all don't even know, do y'all? Because he is very covert. Because everything is in place. Their mistress, their J. Edgar Hoover set it up, laid it out, and it's all in place. So my thing to everybody here, we are arguing about words and what they mean and how they affect and whether or not it's right, whether it's wrong, whether it is positive or negative, whether somebody is condemning somebody or somebody is attacking somebody. You have to be more sophisticated in your receiving information, because the people who are actually wanting to perpetuate those negatives are the ones who are the loudest and the one that clap the loudest and the one that yell the loudest when they hear something of that nature. So you got to be careful when you respond to something that you hear that may be something that's countering something else that you heard. And don't feed to what you think the spirit of that is based on your own judgment of it, because you want to see a fight. And this is what we have come to in our lives. It started out in public school. When people when a bully or somebody was in school and they wanted to fight you at 3 o'clock, everybody wanted to wait till 3 o'clock to get outside and see, the fight, and hit it on. Nobody wanted to stop it. And the only way the fight pursued is because everybody showed up for the fight. If only the person that was there and the person that initiated was there, it would be no fight. So it's the instigation and the infiltration of antagonists who try to edge on what they perceive as being something counter to something they heard before, when it's not in that spirit. And as I say, I came to a vortex where I was taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad under Clarence 13X. And we were in the streets with the knowledge. And we constantly battled verbally. And I've seen a lot of brothers lose their lives because of antagonists and instigators. Right. Brilliant brothers from the streets of New York who lost their life because after a debate or what they call a cipher we had and we was building, a brother might have burned another brother, all of a sudden that became a reason for killing that brother because that brother had more mathematics and science than the other brother. And these brothers lose their physicality because of some nonsense like that. And you can, in your own unwitting responses, create that energy. Because those who don't want us to be here in the first place, the masses, want you to have that type of approach. And I say that we are here to make sure that we get clarity on positions and not to further exasperate where you may be about what it's about. And we want to make sure we're clear on that. And as I say that, I begin to open up what we call our round table. All these people before you got one sister that balances everything here. I love it. They say it takes 6 masters to meet one mistress. And we know it's the mistress that the masters who have the masculine came through. That's right. So the combination of all things that are one show us that we are in this together, and that we all have a purpose and a part to play in the transformation of knowledge of self. I'm going to express what I got relative to this whole situation, and I'm going to say it briefly. That concern was brought to me about the concern about what was said and who was said it and how they said it and what they meant. And I looked at the person who was asking me and make sure I looked at him twice and make sure who he was asking me the question about that before I even responded to it. But then when the concern came from one of the actual speakers, said that they understood there was some maybe response or some concern about what Brother Khallid was manifesting. And that he heard that somebody informed him that it was taken negatively, and then there was some comment about what it should have been or what he should have said. And I always go back and say, well, who the hell is the informant that came and told you that? And why did they tell you that? What was their listenership for? Why were they running to tell you that somebody said something about you? What is that really about? If we're secure in ourselves and we do what we do, we don't get caught up in that triviality. Because that creates the division and what our issues are where we can't get nothing done because we're too busy trying to figure out who said what about who and why this one is different and what one should not say. And we got to be able to be more sophisticated in our understanding of, or understanding or overstanding. We got words, and words is just what they are. They are the phonetics of trying to express a definition of where you are in your level of consciousness. Some of us have the mastery of this language, some of us can't even get it. But it's important that we understand there is no right or wrong when it comes to the expression of an energy that supports us where we live. And most of you, I said, those of you who were rah-rah-rah for one speaker and then rah-rah-rah for the next speaker, the same rah-rah-rah, when it appeared to be something different, you were still rah-rah-rahing. So were you really getting it? Or are you in that church sermon trying to get your fill for the day, your opiate for that day? Be more responsible. Learn how to listen and not be reactionary. And that will allow you to grow. And we can leave here. So while we're having this convene, we're going to make sure that we leave out here with clarity, resolution, love, appreciation, oneness, unity, or we ain't leaving. Far too often I see that we leave these places in every state that all the speakers go to, you hear about it again. And it becomes part of the format, part of the platform. Right. Talk about who, I had a problem with somebody in Mars, 1942. I'm talking about it here in 2000. So it's important that when you ask your questions in the spirit that you want the answer, that is in love, and don't ask it in a way that creates more antagony to a circumstance that you may have misinterpreted as being negative. You have misinterpreted as being attacked or confrontive or combative. That's your stuff. Right. We always want to see a fight, especially when it comes to us. We got to grow up and don't grow high as I need or Negro. We have to grow up. We have to evolve. And the brothers who are here now convening are here to receive you, to reflect to you your mastery. They're not here saying they're better than you. See, there go with words. See, there goes the antagony. Like I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? She's already been acknowledged. Okay, stop that. Stop that. That's that whole rejection issue I got, that I'm not approved. Knock it off. Okay? All right. Okay? So let's convene with our questions. The mic is set up on your left. That mic is going to be used for what, Brother Abdul? For them? Okay. Do we want to let each lecturer or each speaker, let's do this. Let's do first things first. Let's deal with what we think was the issue. And then we can move on. No, briefly.
I'm not even going to take a part in this yet. Look.
Well, hold on. No.
There's some things, we're coming for solutions. Don't even bring the energy. That's what I'm saying.
Am I bringing it or is it here? Okay, now, wait a minute now. Okay. All right, brother. Okay, Bobby, now that's where you are. That's perfect, and we accept where you are. And
I'm just saying.
Now, follow me now. Don't see, that's the denial issue. Also, it's a denial issue.
It's not a denial issue. What I'm trying to say. This is what I'm trying to say. Black people, and I know this for a fact, we can go in and we can do 5 hours of profound information. That one little thing will stick in their head and block out every damn thing. So you don't even need to even open up the doorway for that. I mean, they're world-class people. And the idiots are going to be idiots regardless.
Very good. Well said. Well said. And Brother Khallid, are you also here with that? You see what I'm saying? That's the point. And I'm saying, we're going to move on. See, and I hear all y'all saying move on, but we're going to move on. And we're going to move on, and as I know life to be, we're going to move on. Watch. And we're going to start. Now, how are we going to start? We're going to make people, any questions you have, you can come to your left, my left, your right, depending on where you are, and ask your questions to the person in question. Sister, you have a... Yes, sister. In fact, that'd be perfect for you to open it up. Go ahead. The mic in front of you. Can you speak in, is that live? Go ahead, sister.
Can you hear me? What I'd like to do is, I was sitting here and I have been amazed every day by the young people who are here. So for all the young people, anybody younger than me, anybody under 24, stand up because you have been an awesome. There's some incredible energy that these young people bring forward and represent here on behalf of their peers all over this country.
Thank you.
All right, and I think sometimes we don't recognize that. So I just want you to know that we honor and recognize what you bring forward, and I can't wait to have you up here with me wherever I go, presenting what you already know.
Yes.
And if we ever fall short of being an example to you, of being a teacher and student to you, call us on that note.
Call us on it.
Okay? Call us on that.
Thank you, brother.
And just one other thing, to, see, I just love young people, and I think there's so much talent. You don't know, for all of us, how many young people come up when we come off, and they just got so much to share.
Yes.
And there are two young sisters, I know they shared yesterday, but could we bring forward some of that feminine energy? I'm just feeling like I just like to connect a little bit here. Right here, just have them do that one song
Where
for
are
us.
they?
There you are, right there.
Just to pull that energy.
Yeah, that could open the vortex.
Can we open it up?
Yes.
But now listen up. One thing. In the interest of time, one of our panelists has to leave at 6. So we're already behind, and we're going closer to 6 as you can get. And the brother needs to leave. That's Brother Llaila of Afrika. So we really are trying to get this thing formulated and get past certain things so we can actually get what we need relative to their presence. And not wait to his absence and trying to figure out why we didn't get that. So we want to make sure that sisters, that would be nice, do it, and then we'll keep moving. Okay, you want to come? Are you going to do it from there, or you going to need a microphone from there?
Do the microphone.
Well, Abdul, you want to give him that microphone? Okay, all right.
We're thankful for the opportunity that is being given to us to share and express what the Most High has blessed us with, and we will sing this one song and bless you all with what is on our hearts. The name of this song is called Love Won't Leave You, and it's a song that she and I wrote to each other, and not just a song that is talking about how us as sisters won't ever leave each other, but just how love will never leave you, because that's our soul. That's love is in us and about us and all around us. So, love won't leave you. She'll stay right by your side. Just be patient. She'll bring you through by and by. Never did I think I would be here right now, but my precious sister brought me through somehow. Now that we know we can make it, love will always be there, be there. There is no way that I could live, that I could live. There is no way that I could live without love. Why don't you relax, relate, release, resurrect, and rise? Why don't you relax, relate, release, resurrect, and rise? Relax, relate, release, resurrect, and rise. If I could sing this last part with us again, and I'll just add to the energy, so. Why don't you relax, relate, release, resurrect, and rise? Why don't you relax, relate, release, resurrect, and rise? Peace.
All right. Okay. We are relaxing.
We're all related. So let's release.
Release.
Resurrect.
And so it is. Okay. Now, questions for our panelists. You can come up and to our left, my right, your left, my left, your right, wherever you're at, and I ask questions relating a subject matter. And if you want to direct it to a specific person, say that. Or if it's general, then let it be known as general.
Okay. Good evening. Peace, Hotel. Brothers and sisters. Brother, since you were trying to straighten out that issue, not to go back to that issue, can we start from this point, set up a format by which we deal with that kind of situation when it
Well,
arises.
the people in the audience, it's up to y'all, because y'all ask the questions y'all want to deal with. I mean,
Right.
I was going to open it up so
Right.
we can be able to deal with it straight up, but being that you know that was a unanimous decision, you can't stop a person coming to the mic to ask a question.
What we heard was a few people said, okay, let's move. We didn't hear everybody.
Exactly.
That's what we heard.
That's true. That's exactly, brother.
Okay.
So my thing is that your question, whatever your question may be, if it speaks to that, then it just is fine. You will not be nullified. You will not be stopped from doing that. If you want to ask a question, you can go ahead and do that.
I mean, because you see, and I raised it, go back to that because it's important for us all to know, the people as well in the audience as well as the people on the stage, to know that we're teaching right now.
Exactly.
We're teaching somebody who's here for the first time. They saw something. Whatever they thought they saw, they need to be clear on what it was that they really saw.
I'm clear,
Okay?
brother.
Clarification breeds no questions.
Exactly.
Therefore, that we need to, if the people on the stage being the examples for the people out in the audience, because they're the teachers, they're the masters who you brought before us and claimed as masters, that they can't teach us how to deal with conflict or controversy when that arises, then we need another master to come here and teach us how to deal with that.
And that's more meetings. You're right. So I'm saying, brother, I concur. That's why I'm up here in the first place. That's why, that I became now the person mediating, because those in question had to be a part of the panel.
And that's what you were supposed to
So the
do.
question is, my point is that there's a question relating to that pressing issue, because it is pressing. Those who are beyond that, well and good, but there's still a pressing issue about that apparent divisiveness that's a potential threat to all of our existence. And as I deal with the parent issue, we love to have parents tell us, don't even talk about that. Right. Shut up, go in your room. I'm saying, that's an issue that we carry the rest of our life, repression. So the deal is that if you want to deal with it, brother, ask the question that relates to it, if you have one, and let them respond to it as such.
Well, see, because I'm outside, I didn't really hear what was going on, but I heard a lot of what I heard other people say about what went on. So since some people said move on, okay, that was some people. Why don't you take a consensus of a raising of the hands or something that they'll deal with that?
See, Bob,
Listen,
I don't have a question about it. I don't have a question
It's not a press conference.
Okay?
Listen, one thing about parliamentary procedures, it didn't come from the Europeans. We had this in Africa too. Now the flyer says solutions.
right.
You see what I'm saying? This can go on. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not even going to even debate in no press conference. I don't owe it to nobody to clear up nothing for some fool out there that has some issue. That's not a part of me, and I don't have no issue with nobody. So as far as I'm concerned, you don't even need to bring nothing in there. So let's go with the flight.
Okay, so Dale, we got what you said, brother.
So
Let the
what
next
I'm
brother come.
trying to say is that you can say what you want, but I'm not going to take part in it.
Okay, and that's well and
You
good.
take that or let it alone.
Next question.
Thank you, thank you. I'd like to say before I get out of here that I appreciate each and every one of the masters who've come here, because we got so much of a different spectrum of things. So it went from one extreme to the next. So you get in where you fit in. And that's why it's called the gathering of the masters. If we got 7 masters all agreeing on the same shit, as Bobby would say, then we got issues, we got problems. So we saw a very different spectrum, and I love them all. I love each and every one of them. I'm going back home with each and every, something from each and every one of them, and I'm gonna dissect it, do my research, and move on. So that's all I wanted to say. Peace and love to all the masters.
I again would like to thank y'all for what y'all taught us today or presented to us. My question or comment more so revolves around just etiquette, or you mentioned sophistication that we must have as either presenters or presentators or even in the crowd. And I was or people who are orchestrating something like this to take place. And I was wondering, as masters who have been in this for a much longer time than many of us in the audience, or some of us in the audience, some of the concerns that you may have in your traveling, for one thing that was brought up, that we may need to pay attention to, and making sure that y'all don't have to go through certain things, so that in organizing or trying to get something like this started, it goes smoothly. And also just is some type of is there an etiquette or unwritten rules that we need to follow in trying to get something like this organized and conducting this type of meeting?
Was that a question?
Yeah.
Did y'all get the question, panelists?
Well, I'll answer one part. One of the parts of the etiquette is, if you got an agenda before you, as you see on the flyer, you don't supposed to break that agenda because it creates something other than the agenda. So that's the first etiquette, is parliamentary procedure. The agenda is the people paid their money precisely to hear solutions for the future. If somebody shoot me in the head tomorrow, it don't make a damn bit of difference. You'll still be walking around tomorrow. So that's irrelevance. On a parliamentary procedure, that's called irrelevance. You see, so the agenda is, let's deal with what the people paid their money for on that flyer, and that was solutions. It's not hard to even understand. You understand what I'm saying?
I'd like to also answer that. As I understand the question to be from some of the conversations we've had, there are a lot of young people out here who are saying, how can we bring you and others to our communities?
Right. Yeah.
And as I understand your question, it is, how do you do that in honor whoever it is you're bringing and have the outcome that you hope to have? I can just speak to that briefly from my own personal experience, is to be clear to the speaker in terms of what you want to create, and be real clear to the people that you're going to target that opportunity to, in terms of what they might expect coming, which really begins, planning, whoever your planning group is, being clear on what you all want to bring to the community. Information and knowledge is very important, and because of the limitations, particularly around media, it's hard to get truth into our community. So you right there have presented one solution. Let's get this information and knowledge out to young people. The other thing is, create an environment, or allow your speakers to create an environment where everyone has an opportunity to participate. One of the things that I've had problems with sometimes in going to speak is that when people are uncomfortable, the organizing group takes it on themselves to try to make everybody comfortable. But in our learning process, the more discomfort we experience, the more we're learning. And I think that's what Bobby was trying to bring forward. So it's okay to be uncomfortable, and it's okay not to agree, as long as we know that the knowledge and wisdom that's coming forth between the speakers and the audience and back and forth, that is taking us someplace higher. We don't always have to agree, but we got to be about the work. So that's the most important piece from my perspective of coming in, and also just make sure all the little things are tied up, so we don't get to an airport or a train station or bus stop and be lost, wondering where we're supposed to be, and that kind of thing. The logistics are important as well.
It's called an alchemy of opposites. It's called an alchemy of opposites.
Brother Valentine, you want to respond?
Friction and contradiction is the only way you learn something. You see what I'm saying? Even the European knows that in his own universities. Why is it that our own African scholars could go and get jobs at the white universities, but couldn't even get jobs at the black university, where Dr. Ben applied for Morehouse College 14 times? You see what I'm saying? And they even understand that you can't have a real learning education not unless you have several sides. You see, so the etiquette is, the alchemy of opposites. The African right to be wrong or disagree. As Dr. Ben used to say.
Right. Well, I think that side of the table is talking all too much.
That's right.
DeBernardo wants to.
Right, to balance it out. Go ahead.
First of all, I think we need to get to Dr. Afrika. You got to leave in 20
Yeah.
minutes. All right?
Right.
That's number one. But first of all, I want to thank you, Brother Keidi. I want to thank Serious Books, Cultural Communications.
Yeah.
These brothers and sisters, Kevin Jackson and Delbra and Deborah and Gladys Marks and Emiola. Let me tell you something. These folks have gone through pure hell to do this. And I'm going to tell you something. It's a lot of people around the country that fought this thing tooth and nail. And I was talking to Brother Khallid outside, and I was telling him, when he was in here last night giving his presentation, all hell was going on out in that hallway. all hell, it was a battle going on out in that hallway because there was federal police in here, there was state police in here, there was city police in here. I said the other day that when me and Gladys came over to the school the other day, there were regular National Guard troops in full uniform with M16s underneath that building. And there was state helicopters over top of the state building yesterday, sitting over top of that state office building less than a couple blocks from where we was at. Look, we need to understand that we need to get real. We can come here and work on solutions and do whatever we got to do. But let me tell you something. These federal people don't make no distinctions between any of us because we are all the enemy. Let's get that straight. And if they get the chance, if they get the opportunity, they will kill us all with the same guns and the same bombs. And there have been many presentations here this weekend spoken to that fact. We had a brother out here yesterday, I just told Kevin, who almost got in a physical confrontation with a police officer in front of the elevator yesterday night. And a lot of people missed it. But we was ready to combat these two cops, two black cops, that was standing in front of that elevator that was gritting on one of my brothers from Indianapolis. And I know this brother personally, he's a personal friend of mine, and I would have went down with that brother, and I know that that backup cop was ready to pull his stuff. He was ready because he was surveilling the hallway, and he was looking to see who he had to take out in case there was a confrontation between my brother from Indianapolis and that other cop. And it was obvious that that first cop that was trying to spark the confrontation was a cowboy. This went on while we was in here speaking. There are police all over this building right now as we are speaking. So we need to get real. We have got to be about brotherhood and sisterhood now. I don't care what the differences are between us. It doesn't matter what the philosophical, ideological, political differences are. We all bleed red blood. And this beast will try his damnedest to get us all. It don't make no distinction who you are. I don't care what Bobby's saying. I don't care what Khallid is saying. I don't care what Keidi is saying. Even Dr. Afrika. You know, his presentation might seem like an innocent presentation, but when he made his presentation at Georgia State, he talked about the military. That put a bull mark on his chest. So we need to understand this in perspective. Let's understand what the risks are. These brothers and sisters who pulled this thing off and brought us in here, they are going to try to take them down. They're going to, I told Kevin that, they're going to try to stop us from coming back in this room again. They do not want to see us up here again, ever again. And that's why all them cops in that hallway and around this building, and that's why they've been coming through this place the whole weekend with their helicopters and their M16s and their troops and all these cops that came in here gritting on people. So let's show the appreciation that we need to show, the kind of love and concern and unity we need to show to the organizers of this thing so that we can do this again. Right, we need to come back together again and again and again and again and again. But on a technical note, the brother was with us in a meeting last night. This brother right here, what's your name, brother?
David.
From Tallahassee? Yes. And we were discussing some of the technical points, Audri, of these seminars. And I had, for instance, brought up one of the points. See, a lot of brothers and sisters are very sincere about bringing us in. But sincerity sometimes don't go the distance. You have to consider the consequences of what you're doing. So, for instance, the brother offered to bring me into Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I have to go next month. But they put me on a plane. We were talking about planes. They put me on a plane that stops at Cleveland. And I had to switch planes at Cleveland Airport and get on another plane to get to Milwaukee. That's a no-no. Right. Yeah. You do not do that with people like these up here. Those are incidental types of things that you need to be with. That's what the question went to. Those are the types, like Audrey said, You know, sometimes people do get left at train stations. Dr. Clark got left at a train station one time. So we need to be clear about doing these things with the proper perspective. We must understand the element that we are in. So we need to proceed. We need to get the job done. That's what I always tell people. Let's get this job done. But the only way it can be done is correctly, with the proper heart, the proper mindset, and the will to do it and get it done.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, brother. Next question. Hey, Llaila, you want to respond to that later? Okay. Questions? If anybody have, in fact, let's do it like this. If anybody have any questions for Dr. Afrika, come ask your questions for the doctor. So this way he can be on time for his flight out.
Greetings. My question is for Dr. Llaila Afrika. I was wondering, with a lot of black people, a lot of us melanated people suffering back injuries in our community, if degenerated discs, if through eating live foods, like what steps can you take to regenerate those cells and what they call herniated or degenerated discs, where they want to cut in and take away like your discs to stop the sciatic pain and so on and so forth?
There are herbs you can take like comfrey to help rebuild the tissue. And there are supplements called glucosamine sulfate and chondroitin that help rebuild the tissue. And understand that the lower part of your body carries a lot of radiation. So a lot of that's coming from computers and cell phones and beepers, because the pelvic girdle holds a lot of radiation. And when you use these kind of gadgets, it causes the pelvic girdle to decrease the blood supply to the uterus and the prostate. So the objective of the, it seems like it's the back that's deteriorating, but actually the deterioration starts in the lungs first, then it goes to the reproductive system, then it goes to the bones. That's how you lose calcium, from your lungs first. Then it goes to your teeth, which you may be aware of. Then it goes to your reproductive system. When you're losing bones in your back, you've already destroyed your reproductive system, basically. So the radiation itself is carried in the pelvic girdle, which decreases the amount of magnetism that the cells can carry, which decreases the ability of the cells to bond, which decreases the ability to bond to yourself, bond to your culture. In other words, it produces self-hatred. So you're on the emotional side of self-hatred already. So I would just suggest using the comfrey and glucosamine sulfate chondroitin.
Yeah, because the person I'm talking about, they have a sports, they said it was from a sports injury, playing basketball, and they fell.
Yeah, that's playing on concrete is just a no-no. That's the you don't play, don't run on concrete. It's devastating. It causes cracks in your bones and stuff like that. Shouldn't do that. Concrete carries too much radiation. Sort of like a cemetery, it carries a lot of radiation. But in any case, maybe he should just walk on some green grass that's moist with bare feet to get rid of the radiation, or some wet sand, something like that, to help get that radiation out of the system.
So the gel in the disc, it can be regenerated?
The gel can be regenerated, but the liver has to pull the gel out. You have something called glue, you call it gluten, and the body takes this gel out of the gluten. The gel turns into cartilage, and the cartilage turns into bone. We're still back to the issue of the inability of the liver to break down this glue, to turn it into cartilage, to turn it into bone, so they have to work on their liver as well. So take some milk thistle.
Okay, and I have one more question for whoever else can answer this. A lot of times it seems like when energies get really heavy, me, myself, sometimes I might get sciatic pain. As you said, I thought it was a lot of emotional issues, and I went into self, healed myself of a lot of stuff that I didn't know I was hurting from. And thanks to Sister Audri, I healed myself from a lot of stuff my ancestors were putting on me too, that I really had to face. But sometimes, certain times, it seems like in 3-month cycles, I get this pain. And it's just like, I just have to sit up, and I want to know, is my energies unbalanced? Do I need alignment?
That's a solar cycle. When you're doing threes, that means you have a solar problem there. Yes, it is an imbalance there. You need to synchronize the cycles in your body. You have these major cycles: an Earth cycle, a Moon cycle, and a solar cycle, and a galactical cycle. And we are not taught this. We only taught the moon cycle because we work around these Europeans. The 28-day cycle, you know, where you get paid once a month, that's a lunar cycle. You have a honeymoon. We all moon orientated because the Europeans have a low amount of melanin, can only absorb the cycles of the moon. So we're not into stabilizing our melanin. You have to take a melanin test. You take your blood pressure sitting down. If it may be 120/80, then you take it when you're standing up. And if the numbers increase like 130/90, you have a melanin insufficiency. You take your blood pressure 120/80 while you're sitting down, and you stand up, it goes down, then you have a melanin deficiency. So you should test your melanin level, or you should go to a black doctor who can, but unfortunately we have these certified Negroes, so you probably won't get any help there. But the chlorophyll will help because it duplicates the melanin crystal. So you need raw food. Raw food. Yeah. I hope I didn't get you lost.
No, I understood.
Thank
All
you,
right,
sister.
thank you.
All right, next. Any more questions for Brother Dr. Llaila Afrika? We need to ask him questions.
Dr. Africa on right now.
Peace unto you all. I have a question, and it has to do with energy. So I can do what I have to do. How I can keep my energy up, and how I can physically and mentally holding a lot of responsibility all at once. How could I keep my energy? What should I use? How should I eat? What habits?
Oh, yeah.
Could you?
Well, the key to this energy thing is breathing. The deeper you breathe, the more energy you have. And you may have to start drinking water on a schedule, drinking a cup of water every half hour rather than try to drink this whole bottle in 15 minutes. That's too much stress on your kidney. So you start drinking water in rhythm, and that helps tune your body better. There's supplements that you can take for the energy. You can take some sumac. You can take some tea. These are herbs. You can take some creatine. That helps your body convert to this ATP that people talk about. You can take, a lot of people take the ginseng, but you would have to use the ginseng with the damiana to help give it a driver. You have to direct these herbs around in your system. If you wanted the energy, say, in your brain, you would use ginseng and gotu kola, or ginseng and ginkgo, because you're going to steer it where you want to go. But most people in this country, when they think of energy, they think of sexual kind of energy, so I didn't know whether you were having some kind of problems. I don't have to go there.
No, you don't. I'm doing fine.
Well, if you're doing fine, then your erection should point to your face.
That's right.
Hello? Hello?
Oh, no, I'm all right, brother. I'm all right. Believe me, I'm doing all right.
We are in a learning situation here. When a man has a lot of energy, like a little baby boy, his erection points to his face. He can pee in his face. When the reproductive system starts degenerating, the erection starts pointing to the ground. When your erection points to the ground, it's about time to bury your penis in the ground. Your energy gets dropping down low. So you can gauge your energy by your erection. Well, do this privately. It's not a socially.
Brother, is there any way I can order something from, so I can have, you can...
Oh, yeah, I'll give you my card and all that stuff.
I don't want to take up too much time.
Oh, yeah, because I don't want to go there either.
That's right, brother. I feel you.
All right, Llaila,
Okay.
Llaila.
Right.
I can ask more questions?
No, Sister Llaila Afrika.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah, he's trying to leave, brother. You gotta make sure he's trying to leave.
My question is, how can we cleanse ourselves of the vaccinations that we had to take for different things?
Well, they're coding those things and putting a timer on them. So it's a little more involved than the old vaccination. That's kind of old stuff. The new vaccinations have which people will call today some kind of cloning mechanism on. They put a stump on them.
After what year was this?
They started around 1985. But most people use echinacea and golden seal, burdock, dandelion root, which is good for the pineal gland, and red clover. You can use those in combination or singularly. You should take one of those herbs every day anyway because of the radiation pollution, the air pollution, water pollution, and the pollution you get from the fumes of other people's bodies. especially a pork eater. You can tell them they go like that all day. So you want to kind of like take things to protect yourself from those fumes as well.
Thank you for receiving my question. I'd like to know what effect does the prescribed medicines have on my melanated body in the way, for instance, high blood pressure, diabetes, the medicine that has been prescribed for this body?
Well, all drugs work by destroying melanin, speeding it up or slowing it down. A drug is not a drug unless it works on melanin. That's how drugs are established. That's how you gauge drug reactions. So you need to flush yourself out with some blood cleansers like red clover, burdock, dandelion root, echinacea, golden seal. I'm going rather fast, I know. But you need blood purifiers. The damage that's done by the vaccination is kind of like, you get these seedless grapes and seedless oranges. They put a blocker in the stump of it that blocks the ability of the liver to metabolize a mineral called manganese. When your liver cannot metabolize manganese, you are still in pre-puberty. If a woman is 40 years old and she cannot metabolize manganese, that day she goes in puberty. Manganese determines whether you're an adult or a child. And that's when your liver is able to break down a mineral called manganese. The manganese is known as a nurturing vitamin. If you lose your manganese, you won't be able to nurture and love your child properly. So what they try to do is put a stump blocker on your ability to metabolize manganese. And this is put in what you call vaccinations. It's all, you're kind of aware of this kind of thing I'm talking about. So anytime you're having reproductive problems, you know you need some manganese. And if you're taking the herbs and vitamins and your body is not responding, then you have some damage to your vagus nerves, so you know you're running a potassium deficiency. So you would need some potassium because that helps you communicate between your brain and your body, which is what is blocked when you take these vaccinations and a lot of things that, like the gel and talcum powder in the prophylactics, they have stump blockers in them. You know the stuff that y'all use, it's very dangerous stuff. Anytime it's white, you should know it's very dangerous stuff. White sugar, white salt, white milk, bleached white flour, white grits. Anytime it's white, it's dangerous. You do not have white teeth. Your teeth are yellow. They are bones, and yet we bleach our teeth white because we know that white is right. No, this slavery thing is on us. This slave trauma is on our diets. And when you're eating a lot of, the Europeans have a scavenger diet. You call it a diet, but that's a scavenger foods. They used to put their food on flat bread because that was a plate to them. And when they were able to eat at a square table, they call that a square meal. Come on. But I don't want to go into all of that. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Greetings. My question is about mercury. I'm getting ready to have all of mine removed.
Good.
Can you give your take on how long in between I should have my amalgams removed and the proper detoxification process? And maybe even mention briefly some of the harmful toxic effects of the amalgam. Thank you.
Talk about mercury fillings. Mercury is the chemical they use to modify your brain's response. You use arsenic for the heart. You use iodine for the thyroid. You use manganese. There's certain minerals that focus in certain organs in your body. And they used mercury long ago in what you call the bad blood syphilis study. That was a cheap form of mercury and arsenic. It was the first biochemical warfare tactic on black people. But we got all emotional and said, oh, we got syphilis. No, you didn't get syphilis. You got biochemically attacked. And mercury is vital to disrupt the messages between your brain. The Europeans measure the messages between your brain on electrical response. Black people communicate messages in water. Water is the highest thing for communicating brain messages. Electricity is what the Europeans vibrate on because their frequency is lower than yours. Remember, they're still evolving to their level of barbarism. They haven't got to where they are barbaric yet. They're still going higher. You're just at that primitive state right now. But in any case, to get rid of this mercury, you can use ancient plants like blue-green algae and alfalfa is a good one. Alfalfa sprouts I'm talking about. Using plants, spirulina, you want to use ancient kind of plants. The chlorophyll is the key because it mimics the melanin crystal. Understand you drive on melanin gas and liquid melanin. The Europeans are still in a crystal form. Your chemistry is just so high that nobody can figure it out. In any case, yes, sir. Whatever. Yeah.
This isn't only for you, Dr. Afrika, it's for Brother Keidi and for Brother Valentine, because he breaks it down well.
Great.
And also to the other brothers and sisters.
Amen.
Now, being a warrior, but being into metaphysics as well, so many of our people are confused about their diets. Some people say you got to be vegan, vegetarian. Other people say, well, you can eat a little meat. You can do this, you can do that. But I think most of our people really need to know where they should be. Should they be into only eating live foods, or should they be eating meat or eating fish? Or should they be, what should they be doing?
Well, we are in a military situation here. The Europeans are military-minded. They've been kicking ass since they came up on this planet. That's all they know is fighting. They are military people. And we have to deal with the situation that we are in. Most people that I treat cannot afford to buy water. They can't. I'm dealing with reality. I have to teach people how to shop in the Kroger. How to shop in that store. You got to have wealth to have health in a European country. Most of us cannot afford to go in a health food store. They're full of gays and lesbians and, you know, they people be looking at your front and the back. You don't know what to do there. And they don't want you in there anywho. So we have to deal with the situation that we are in. And when you start reading those labels, just you want as few words as possible under ingredients. You know, like if you got applesauce, you want the ingredients apples. So you want a few words as possible, you see, because we have to deal with the situation that we are in, basically. Ideally, we should be into raw food, ideally. Most of us don't know how to chew. You shouldn't be chewing your food and talking at the same time. You shouldn't eat when you're angry. You shouldn't rush and eat it. Eating is a spiritual thing with African people. But unfortunately, we've made it into a slave and slave master situation. Everything we treat like a slave or a slave master. Food must serve me. Food must give me energy. We make food into a slave. We make sex into a slave. Sex must give me an orgasm now. Everything is a slave with us, or a master, because someone taught us this relationship. So we have to go back and kind of like understand that we're in a military situation. Food is a tactic that the Europeans used to manipulate and control people. They started that in 1946 under Clinton Anderson. It's in the Hoover Institute at Stanford University when the United States government decided, which is a business, it's not a government, it's a business organization. And you were the first business that they had. You're still the only business going on. That's when they decided to use food as a tactic, because before you can be spiritual, you've got to eat, you see. So what we have to do is realize that our objective in eating is to reunite ourselves with our ancestors and to give us power. We're eating to control the world. The Europeans are eating just to maintain control. But we have to have that kind of vision when we approach our meals now. It's a spiritual relationship that we give to God and God gives to us, that we give to nature and nature gives to us. And when you sit down at your plate and you're the master and your food is a slave, already you've set up a psychological and spiritual block to get the higher nutrients of the plants, because they are spiritual entities. They speak in a spiritual form to us, and we don't tune out ourselves into that anymore. We have lost that kind of connection back home, but we can get it again. So what we're trying to do is understand that I can say is, what's the sense of me going, I deal with people in the projects, people trying to pay me in food stamps, and some of them counterfeit. I don't trust them, so I test the food stamps. Anyway, I'm dealing with people in the hood, because I come from the projects, and I keep it on that level. You understand? So I'm not going to tell them that you got to eat raw. Some people's liver is so damaged they can't eat raw. I got to put their liver in some kind of condition to digest the raw food. So I got to go into a milk thistle and dandelion to bring the liver up to speed. They can't eat raw. They be farting, belching, almost blow their brains out. Jelani, I answer yours now. Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, this question is direct towards you, and as well as to the panelists.
Okay.
Or in a statement too, that there are 7 panelists here, you know, and this might sound construed like what's the word? Excited because I got a pee, I really do. But you know what I'm saying. But so there's 7 panelists on this on the panel, and then at the same time there's 7 major chakras in the body, you know, and basically these brothers and sisters represent different aspects, different attributes of what we all need to know right now, you know. And I feel as if during the whole time I was here, I heard a continuity in all that was said, you know. I mean, from starting with Brother Conscious with the air and water principles to Bobby talking about water is the key, you know, and then the carbon seed and unconditional love. But really unconditional love is saying, okay, regardless of what's going on, we got to get to this point, which is the hate that he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? And then on the revolutionary tip, you're going to need that, brother, because it's like what the brother said, Dr. Valentine said, the mind is the tabernacle of the knower, the brain is the tabernacle of the thinker, and the body is the tabernacle of the doer. So we all at different posts, you know, and the Teachers of Patala's Help, it says, stand or sit rather than leave your post. And the only reason why these brothers are powerful is because they're not leaving their post. So that's what you hear when they represent it. They're going to represent it to the fullest. It's not going to be they're not going to deviate from it and weaken and dilute it, because that's not what their principle is. You know what I'm saying? So I commend y'all and I appreciate y'all for all that you presented here, because I grew from it, you know. And my question is, what do we do with, how can we find real soil? If soil is all cloned, how can we find some real soil?
Well, you're going to have to make it yourself, basically. The thing is, you have to get yourself some plastic bags, trash bags, and you put your soil in there and compost. That's how you grow your organic foods in the hood. You use trash bags, and you grow your food. That way, when you get evicted, you can take your organic food with you. I appreciate you. Is it black enough for you here? All right.
I want to just pick up on that issue also, on the issue of organic food and organic gardening. Those of you who are familiar with the research, that I do, I hope you appreciate that I have always attempted to make this research as practical and usable as scientifically and humanly possible. On the issue of food, I've tried to demonstrate that the principles in my book, Food, on growing food, do work, because during the course of the 10-year organic food project that I had, I produced 80 different kinds of fruits, vegetables, and herbs in my own tiny back lot every year. I think we have become impractical as a people. As a consequence of our becoming impractical, they can sell us non-food as food. We eat the non-food and then can't even figure out how to intellectualize or intellectually organize the world around us. One of the major problems we have as a people, we will eat anything. It is a measure of your spiritual, intellectual, and physical competence on what you eat. So don't fool yourself. You can't eat everything.
In certain circumstances, you can't eat anything. And then you need to have your water. So I think this deals with partially the conflict, or the controversy, I should say, that is the underlying tension. And I, for one, would suggest that we become more practical.
Greetings. I have a question about the Y2K for anyone who can answer. There was a big disturbance about the Y2K, and now it's just disappeared. As far as where they were trying to direct our attention away from or towards something, and if there will be some kind of breakdown in the computer systems still, even though it hasn't happened, will it happen in the future? Will everything break down, shut down, lights go out?
Again, very briefly, and I'm on record on tape here. Measure me. I told our people in 1998 the Y2K computer crisis was not worth the attention that we were being asked to give it. Mark my words, I may be the first one on record to say it was a hoax. Just like I've been saying since 1993 that HIV equals AIDS equals epidemic is a hoax. So what we've got to do, see, they can put anything on you. If you don't understand how a computer works, then you don't understand how it would break down. All of that, Brother Coakley was the same. All of the major indicators from the major people dealing with real national security were, well, Y2K is not to be taken real seriously, but Art Bell said every day we should take it seriously. So all I can say is this much. If you want to go out 2, 3, 4 years in advance, come on to the conscious Rasta.
Well, also, I told in 1998 in New York, it was real concerned about Y2K, and the brother C. Freeman L., as well as I, had discussed it. And I went to New York and told them it was a hoax also, and the people got mad. It's almost as if that we seek to buy into what the government says is the next step of destruction. And so you don't need to stockpile based on Y2K. You could have been stockpiled, and stockpiling was an option 10 years before that.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? But you can't let the Europeans dictate to you when is the time for you to take for cover, because it's a form of mind control. And so a lot of people got mad. One sister closed down her shop in Newark and moved based on Y2K.
That's correct.
And all the nine's out of business based on that. And I said, listen, and it's like C. Freeman L. said, a lot of it, you know how much money they made off of Y2K?
Yes.
As well as the amount of water. We couldn't find water for 2 or 3 days.
That's right.
You see, so he's also not only in the mind control of telling you that America is beautiful and all that, but he can also control your mind based on what destruction he says is next. That's right. You see what I'm saying? You determine that. If it was such thing as a Y2K, common sense would tell you he wouldn't go and start telling you that a year before it start to happen. If there's a person in a genuine concern, he would have told you 10 years ago just to get you ready for something that's going to happen. But he's not going to shut down his doggone civilization based on some computers, when in 1980, most people didn't even know what a computer was, just in 1980. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of that is mind control.
And also, Bobby and Conscious, to add on what you said, you mentioned the name Art Bell. And it's important for people not to miss what the brother just said, because Art Bell is one of the major perpetrators who has been pushing Y2K for almost a year now, and you need to understand who this individual is. Art Bell is Air Force Intelligence and one of the chief staffers at National Security Agency at Fort Meade, Maryland.
I think one other thing I'd like to add to that is it was an opportunity for us to learn, as has been shared so far. You know, there are things in Y2K, in that big hoax, that we need to look at. One is, do you really want to be that dependent on a system if something happens that you're that far out anyway? It doesn't make sense. To me, what it said is we got to get back to understanding how to grow our food, how to take care of ourselves in a way that our survival is it no matter what. And I mean, I think that's the piece. How do we, as we look at solutions, how do we create communities of people? And I'm not talking about where you got 10, 20,000 people living in one small, square of area. But I'm talking about how do we create communities to survive no matter what? Because I think that one of the things that I've felt often during this weekend is that, in terms of being more self-directed or more self-interested, is that we've got to be aware of what we need to do. And one of the ways that we're most gullible is in the food chain area. And we've got to look at seeds, and we've got to look at how we create an
Can I hear her? As well as, because that's a PCM mic and it's like a crazy mic, but can you hear her as well?
Yeah, also I wanted to piggyback off, we doing a lot of piggybacking, but also you notice that Y2K was also a setup for that Megiddo thing. Now that Megiddo thing was the government millennium operative program to flush out anybody who had anything against the government or anything basically sensible to say, and use them as and paint them as a world terrorist. And they had this Megiddo thing, but they also heightened the hysteria with the whole Y2K thing, just also to flush out not the known brothers and sisters that deal with this stuff on a daily basis, but there was also any potential one that they would give you the signal to say, well, now is the time to jump. So what they did in Atlanta also, they came in and said it was going to be a race war right before Christmas. And they took this brother and threw him in the Chattahoochee River and bound him, and the brother would have died only he was in the service, so he learned how to swim being tied up with his body or something, because they gagged him and all. And basically he learned how to float. And two white guys found him and all. But my point is that hysteria, as well as the Y2K, was to create this situation of the Megiddo where you start speaking out on things and they can actually track you to find out what is not only the brothers and sisters or revolutionaries already in place, but future revolutionaries. And they had that whole Megiddo thing to flush out what they call known terrorists.
I have two questions. And they're directed to Reverend Valentine. The first question is about testosterone toxicity and the effects on an unborn child. And the second question has to do with remote viewing and can remote viewing be used to travel interdimensionally or on different planes? Those are the two questions.
I'll answer the last one first. Remote viewing, you can get a Babalawo to do it, one of the good ones from IFA. Remote viewing is the white man's way of trying to, most of the white men who deal with remote viewing have chips in their head to augment what they're dealing with. And that's a CIA invested thing that your boy from Dianetics taught, L. Ron Hubbard. It was all the people who dealt with, who started the remote viewing were taught by L. Ron Hubbard and became the top CIA psychic warfare situation. But you, as melanated peoples, you have the vortex of the dark matter consciousness. Like they said, from the darkness came the light. But as I said yesterday, the light had to seek the darkness again to manifest. Light does not do any manifesting unless it has a container to do that in. So the reflection of the Most High is you. And in that reflection did it see itself and manifest itself and solidify itself. So any remote viewing you could do, like what brother was just talking about in this earlier presentation, you start dancing and start getting into a good groove, you can remote view right there on the dance floor. Secondly, about just to reverse the field, testosterone toxicity in women and in children, unborn children, women who have high levels of testosterone in their system have what is known as endogenous testosterone toxicity, which means that the testosterone, which is a perversion of the progesterone, and if you look at progesterone and testosterone, the molecules look virtually the same. So it only takes one little ion, one little behavioral glitch to cause the body to have to convert that to testosterone to deal with the stress that our sisters are putting themselves under today. That's why a lot of our sisters got mustaches, got hair growing all over their body, never grew on your ancestor's mother. What happens is, when you are incubating a child, that testosterone goes through the blood barrier in the placenta. And if that child becomes susceptible, if the cellular matrix, if the cellular material or the gametic material is permeable, that testosterone will affect you, and thus, since you are higher levels of testosterone in your body, you will rob testosterone from your son, and you will incubate a faggot. And people don't understand the science of the behavior of our sisters and why it is that we got this serious outburst of people trying to get at people who are of the same gender. This is subliminal. This is dealing with the metaphysics of genetics. They know how to create homosexuals. They know how to affect your womb. So when the testosterone, based on your stress level, based on your adverse and your converted thinking levels begin to change, what happens is anytime you see, again, like I said yesterday, whenever you see a people begin to fall towards the center of polarity, that means that's the end of it. Polarity, a man puts his female in check and he finds his feminine nature not in himself and his little child. He finds it in the woman that balances him. He don't need to turn on his woman to act like to feel a woman. A true man already surrenders that to the woman that he's with. And the woman surrenders her man, the man in her to that man, and you keep the polarity in check. But now when you want this European, he don't have the melanin to deal with the polarity. He wants to phagotize the situation because that's what he brought into Africa. And his woman taught him that, raised him that way, because his woman had to teach the son to kill the father because the father was beating the shit out of her. So you have to understand the psychosis and how we have interfaced with that madness. So sister, your behavior, your design denotes function. Your physiological design is a sacred design. It was not meant to deal with yang operation. So trying to put on a football helmet to find equality is madness. I've got to say with it, sister.
I would like to just for a second, address that. I respectfully disagreed somewhat with my brother. He is my brother first. And we respectfully disagree with each other. I have to clarify this. I'm emerging from the field of reproductive biology. The only job I ever had was in a genetics fertility laboratory. Came immediately out of high school, immediately into that laboratory to work. My father was a chemist. There is this tendency for people who don't understand science to attribute those things which could be understandable by simple scientific logic, to attribute those things to supernatural, far out. I try with my research to make everything as practical and as understandable as possible. We're in this incredibly toxic environment, and with a host of some 673 chemicals that have been identified that interrupt with the human endocrine system, we can really go directly to the heart of much of this gender ambiguity just with chemical toxicity crossing the placenta barrier, which Brother Phil did mention about crossing that placental barrier. In the book, Missing Assets, the Cultural, Psychological, and Biological Origins of Infertility, which is one of my 18 books, I do address these very specific issues, and I think I do address them in simple manners that can be easily understood with footnoted references. I would just suggest that we put in our research, do the work, get into the libraries, and understand what endogenous versus exogenous hormones could mean and how you could therefore control these things yourself.
Respectfully, I'd like to come across that. Now, the brother is talking about supernatural situations. Behavior could be dealt with as supernatural because your thought process precedes your behavior. And if your thought process has been colonized, or with all of the problems that we're dealing with now, yes, brother is saying something that I had left out of what I was saying to sister about the chemical pollution. But design denotes function. And there is no ambiguity or supernaturalism in what I'm saying. It is scientific. I'm saying to you that action is scientific. And when sisters begin to act like, and I say when the egg becomes the sperm and the sperm becomes the egg, that is a scientific reality. And most of the stuff that you were learning in endocrinology and the books of endocrinology, I have read and studied. But because I have dealt with a metaphysical perspective, there are certain things that maybe I have not seen that you will teach me, beloved, but there may be things that I have seen that I will teach you. That's right.
Peace and love, my brothers and sisters.
Sister look like it.
I just want, I'm not going to say I want, I'm going to do it. Thank you all, because you don't understand how important this is for Black people to unite in one room without chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. That's love.
Mm-hmm.
That's love. I think my outlook on this whole meeting, it all boils down to love, because I live in Los Angeles. Not every day, not every other day will you see unity such as this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my means of expression. All I want you guys to understand is, do not promote division. Let people be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Let people learn what they want to learn.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to come here and learn how to survive, because that's what they're teaching us, how to survive, that's love.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, no one else, someone who does not love you will not come here and give you information on how to keep your life going. I doubt it, because I've been around people of the such. And I want to commend one person, but I want this to reach each and every one of you. My man Daoud, right there. Could you please stand up?
Uh-oh.
That's my man,
Yes.
right there. He's the strongest man I've ever met. This is the strongest man I've ever met. And I haven't sung to him in a long time, but I want to sing to each and every one of you.
Sister, no, we can't do that, sister. Don't do that. We can't do that. We gotta keep moving. We gotta keep moving.
I would love to.
I knew he's getting ready to sing. Sister, we can't do it, sister. You can sing to him in private. We got it. You know, and we understand he said that he all right, and you now you compliment with his all rightness. Sister, pass the mic on. We thank you. And give her a round of applause.
Yes, give her a round.
I love you, regardless.
Excuse me. Excuse me. I want to make a point of clarification. On part of what the sister was trying to bring to us. I think the point didn't come out properly. And I think it's important to address what she was trying to get at. This brother here, would you please stand up? Y'all need to get a good look at this brother right here. Get a good look at him. Because this brother right here is a physical manifestation of what this is all about this weekend. Because this brother came from San Bernardino, California, on a Greyhound bus, and it took him 57 hours.
That's right. That's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. That's what that's about. This is what it's about.
And this is, if you call this a brother that has visions and sees things, that's the same brother that asked the question about his vision, and so therefore you play on where he really is and what's the real crust behind it. Just to be a part that we couldn't sing to him today, but we got you. You know, we got the song, and the song's in our heart. And we thank y'all for that contribution.
Yes, definitely.
Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Two questions. One on a subject of self-defense. This is directed at Brother Khallid and Brother Keidi. Our cities are under siege, specifically right now in the Northeast. Philadelphia, New York, D.C., Baltimore. The Northeast is hot right now. Solutions and programs. Right. This is addressed to Brother Keidi and Brother Khallid. Secondly, all the whole panel to address hip-hop is out of control right now. You know, for except of a few brothers still trying to make their mark. Thank you.
Appreciate your question, my brother. As we said on last evening, I know brother very well, at a certain point in our lecture on last evening, it's very important in terms of talking about the hotbeds of the Northeast. I believe, knowing brother, that the great part of his focus is on harassment, police brutality, and the open, cold-blooded murder of our people in the streets of the Northeast, as well as in the South and across the country, but a specific recent focus on the Northeast. It's very important, in my judgment, to build black people's militias and to build black liberation armies in the black community. I don't mean to do something foolish, to go out and throw hot bean pies at the white man, or throw bricks at the white man, or go out with an old rusty .22 and try to engage the white man in armed struggle in the streets. What we're talking about is the self-defense of our communities. What we are talking about is the kind of building of an African United Front or a Black United Front in our communities, where we have the best interests and love of each other at heart and uppermost in all that we do. In the building of these black United Fronts across the country, and the building of these black liberation armies and black people's militias is a situation where we, in many cases, some will arm themselves with cameras, some will arm themselves with camcorders. In some cases, we must realize that that makes no difference. The entire Rodney King incident was recorded by an amateur on video, and still it made no difference in the verdict on the West Coast. However, there are those who are arming themselves with steel cameras, with camcorders, who are arming themselves in that way. Others who are arming themselves to defend themselves in the community. Quick point, and then I will close out on that. These are all solutions that we have discussed. In my judgment, in the South, in Jasper, Texas, we went there several times, the New Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, and we went armed, locked and loaded. And we also went down that old road where Brother James Byrd was killed. The homes, as far as from where he was killed, the main road from that wall to probably right here where the drummers are. What would have happened if all of our people along that route who had guns, and the houses are very close together, many who witnessed it, or those who saw it shaping up, or them getting ready to tie him and chain him to the truck, would have started calling up and down that road. And our people who were frightened or afraid to come outside at least just stuck their shotguns or rifles out the window. Others who were bold enough came out on the steps, and others came out in the yard or right out on the road and told those crackers, no, you must let him go, unchain him, and some of them started to unchain him. These are, in my judgment, small steps towards self-defense in the community. Certainly others will fight in the courtrooms, and we'll get whatever you can get from that, but we understand that there's really no justice for us in the courtrooms of white America, but there are some of those who will win some victories from time to time, even in that arena. So these are some basic things, I believe, that we have not considered. We've considered marching, we've considered voting, we've considered turning the other cheek, we've considered all of those things, and I believe now it's important that we consider some more direct action.
You're listening to my brother Khallid. I'm reminded of a statement by a European man, Albert Einstein, perhaps one of the third wisest man in the last century, behind Cheikh Anta Diop and George Washington Carver. But Albert Einstein did say this, and it's relevant: insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And let's be clear, we've seen our people do the same things over and over again. So Brother Khallid has very boldly decided, looking back in our collective history, that one of the best things we did was organize the young people, not for media-perpetrated entertainment, but organize these beautiful young people of ours based upon revolutionary paradigms to make sure that they know that they are the spirit carriers for the village. So we salute these beautiful young sisters and brothers in the new Panther Party. They're worthy of our respect. But here's what I want to make my contribution, and I think my contribution wholeheartedly backs up these young, beautiful sisters and brothers who decided to put themselves on the front line to carry that spear. It's one of the major factors influencing our people is they're being swayed and led around by the mass media. And as another beautiful young brother said, don't hate the media, become the media. So I have been writing and publishing in newspapers and magazines, on the internet and the books, by any means necessary. We're now moving into CD-ROM, internet-based broadcasts, and cable television shows. We've been broadcasting the new ideas to organize our people about. Let me tell you, though, to create a mass media network that can reach our people all over the planet is more expensive than you could ever imagine. And you are forcing us to be incredibly clever. Because in lieu of your committing your resources to such a project, we have to do it anyways. So I suggest keep your eyes open. The Black Star is on the horizon. We call it the Black Star Media Group, not B-E-T. We call it the Black Star. There's no accommodating thing. We will not be soliciting advertisement from Coca-Cola for this one. But should you decide it is in your best interest to have your own self-serving media to reach your people all over the planet simultaneously, so we can tell all the young people, no, don't follow old dirty bastard. Follow our beloved sister Malika, who's leading the young ones in a bold and defiant manner. If you would decide it's in your best interest, come and look for us. We're not that difficult to find.
Now, do we address the hip-hop thing? I want to say something on the hip-hop.
Go ahead.
There's some things that's been working. It's just small. I think what you have to do is you have to shift the energy to the underground. And what I mean by that is it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to battle these big commercial groups because they somewhere in the early 90s it was a consensus to bring you to this ignorant level. That's right. So what it is you're going to have to go into another arena. Now, there's a lot of black people that's dealing in the underground, and there's a lot of talent coming out of the underground.
Yes, that's right.
You see what I'm saying? So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to enhance that in some type of way. Let me give you an example. One of my European art teachers said that he was in the hippie era. And so they made it a consensus on the college campuses at that particular time for no white person, this is white people, to join any fraternities to somehow lash out against the system. So they made it almost to the point where it was a style. It was almost fashionable for no one to join fraternities, and it failed. So on the other hand, we have to also create a style whereas it is the in thing to be underground.
Yeah.
You see, this is how you do these things. And you also have to set up bylaws with the underground. We're not accepting no bullshit in the underground also. The underground is for the good, higher repertoire of music. And so basically, and it's going to be left up to brothers like, it's going to be left up to brothers like you all to do it, the ones in that. And the reason why I say that is and Conscious Rasta can bear witness to this. I'm up on the AU Center a lot of times, and they, I swear every other brother I meet is trying to cut an album. Unlike the 70s and stuff, because back then, if you couldn't play, you didn't record.
That's right.
But
That's right.
these people understand that they can get a record deal, but the key is their minds are focused on the big companies. And so there's got to be some forums, I mean, for a person that's talented to make the underground appealing and fashionable. You understand what I'm saying? So you're going to have to, you see, our people are based on fads and styles and what's appealing to them. So if you make this some type of social manifesto that it's about the underground, then you can get a whole lot of people that can go into that particular aspect. And one other thing also too, that like Goody Mob said, you're going to have to style this thing where you're going to also where you can have some good dance music too, because those things have a lot to do with our spiritual being, as well as we're going to have to style this thing whereas you're going to have to start creating a new music for it, because that has a lot to do with melanin. So I think that's going to have to deal with it, but you're going to have to focus on the underground.
I think it's very important as we talk about rap that we establish a new category of rap music. And the new category of rap music that we have been talking about across the country as we meet with young brothers and sisters in the rap culture is what is called revolutionary rap with liberation lyrics.
Yes.
Revolutionary rap with liberation lyrics, where it becomes important to understand that music and culture is a weapon. That music and culture is a weapon that